Welcome to Rick, otherwise known as Sapience, here on Twitch. Welcome to Crossing the Streams, Rick.
Oh, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited to be here. I've been listening to the podcast for a little while. I've kind of lurked in some of the recording sessions, so I'm excited to have my time on your podcast and hang out with you for a little bit and talk the brick building community for a while.
Excellent. I'm really excited too. You, as I was telling you before we started this show, your name came up a few times from other guests, saying, "Wow, you need to get Rick on here." And I've been waiting to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, it's time," because there's just been so many other people actually on the show, and I'm so glad that we get to have this conversation too, because you are one of, I would consider you, kind of post Brick and Nick, post Set to Build, still one of the earlier content creators in the brick building community. So for those that don't know about your channel, Sapience, can you tell us a little bit about it?
So so basically, I actually just had my 3rd year affiliate anniversary last week. So I have been here doing brick building that whole time, and for a little while before, I've actually been on Twitch for probably a decade, doing different things. Some of it very work centric, some of it charity centric. But last 3.5-ish years, definitely brick building has been the focus. And it's funny you mentioned Nick and the original OGs of the brick building community, because Nick was the first person to ever raid my channel with other brick builders way back, way back. And it was really kind of the first time that I had a sense that there was a brick building community.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm just here doing my thing, a few nights a week, talking to people, building some Lego sets, having fun, kind of oblivious to the world around me. And then Nick comes in with, 60 other brick builders. And it was like, oh, wait, there's a thing here. Let's talk to these people. Let's follow them. Let's find out more about them. So that was kind of my introduction, was Nick.
Congratulations on 3 years. And again, within this community, 3 years is actually quite a long time by comparison, given that there's so many brick builders now. A lot of them have started maybe within the last 1 to 2 years at most. So you're kind of part of this what I would consider elite group of creators, because for the longest time it was a Brick and Nick, it was a Set to Build, and then kind of over time we started getting more and more people, and from my experience it really started to explode early pandemic, mid pandemic, and then we're kind of where we are now, where we're seeing some steady growth. Given your time over here on Twitch, you've spent almost 10 years on the platform, and then focusing more on brick building in the last 3 years. What do you consider, some of the most interesting things that you've seen in that time?
So if we go back to like 10 years ago, when I first started on Twitch, it was strictly a gamer's outlet, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't playing a game, you probably weren't on Twitch, and there was a really narrow focus, and there still is to some extent, I think, on Twitch in terms of the games you play. And that's primarily shooters, first-person shooters, dominate Twitch. They always have, they always will. Some MMOs, some RPGs, at the time. But it's been fascinating to watch the evolution of Twitch into much broader content. Some of it's great. Some of it's maybe a little sketch and definitely after-hours stuff. Won't name names.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. As a platform, it's been interesting to watch Twitch evolve into, sort of an entertainment destination, not just, and I hate the phrase, but I think it was really, really relevant at the dawn of Twitch, just really a bunch of dude bros watching war games, right?
Yeah.
It's really kind of how it started off. And now you have, amazing creators doing, music creation, music production, DJing. You have brick builders, you have artists. You have, amazing people who, I watched someone weld a car frame the other day. It was crazy, live on Twitch. So there's this really diverse sense of, if you're into it, you can probably find it now on Twitch. And I think the brick building community is an offshoot of that growth, right?
Yeah.
I think people realized, and I know starting with Nick and Set, they realize that people will come and watch and learn about the sets and learn about building, and especially with Nick with his mocks and how amazing he is. There's more to Lego than going to the store and buying a box and following the instructions and building whatever the thing is and putting it on a shelf for display. You can be really creative with it. And I think that really kind of was what made the brick building community sort of happen, right? It was, I think, a lot of parents, a lot of kids, and even, just guys like me and you, just adults, went and said, hey, I never thought about that, right?
Yeah.
Let's go see what they could do. Or maybe we were in our dark ages and we saw that community and went, hey, I should get back into this. And then, like you said, really the last 3 years, what I've seen is, like, when I started, I didn't know anyone else who did it. And then Nick rated into me and I realized there were a bunch, but even then it was small. It was a small community. It was spread out like it is now, kind of around the globe. But I set my schedule, and I think this is a really good example of how much it's exploded, especially the last 2 years. I set my schedule intentionally because I'm trying to be the nice new guy, right?
Right.
All right, I'm going to stream Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays after 10 p.m. Eastern because nobody else is.
Yeah.
Literally nobody else. You jump in 10 p.m. Eastern on a Thursday or a Sunday, there's 30 brick builders out there now.
Yeah.
It has exploded. And I agree with you 100%. It's the pandemic. People have decided, you know what? I can get a webcam. I'm sitting here doing this anyways. Let's talk to people. Yeah. So it's just exploded.
Yeah.
I don't even know half the brick builders out there. I'm sure there's 10 times more brick builders in this community than I am even remotely aware of.
Yeah, it's incredible to see because even a year ago, when I first started streaming to the category or the tag, I felt like I had a good understanding of how many people were streaming it. But now, just even this afternoon, I clicked brick building and there was like 10 or 11 different streams. And then, sometimes I like to do this. I'll type in Lego just in the search, and there'll be even more people that pop up in like any other category that haven't used a brick building tag. And so it's incredible to see the growth. It's incredible to see all the different people who are, like you said, the pandemic kind of kickstarted, this just, leap in growth. I mean, I'm one of those people in that about a year ago, I've been aware of Brick and Nick and Set to Build for a couple years. I always thought it was cool to watch them. Never had it cross my mind where I'm like, I could actually do this too.
Right.
But, about a year ago, I was like, you know what? Brick and Nick Set to Build, they build Lego on stream. And, I was about to build the Daily Bugle. And I was like, it'd be really cool just to see what people think of me building this huge set. And, that's when, at the time I was still only aware of Brick and Nick, Set to Build, a couple other people. And then, I suddenly met AZ Pinoy, Panfred Nudo, Amish Ace, and like all of them. And then everyone that they knew. And, like you, I don't even know who probably, 2/3 of the people that have started streaming in the last couple of months in the brick building tag. I don't know who they are.
It's exploded so fast. It's impossible to keep up. I mean, it's funny. Everyone you just listed, it's like, I can remember the first time, either I rated them or I was in, like, say, Dan, Between the Bricks channel when he rated them. And they were like, I can still remember the first time rating Fred.
Yeah.
He was doing Lego, and it was like a sometimes thing for him. It wasn't what he did. Yeah. It was a sometimes thing. And the Lego community came in and just embraced him so tightly that he's like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do now. Because that's just kind of how this community is.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I say this all the time on this show, is the brick building community to me is very special because there's a lot of even though it's exploding and, even though there's a lot of people we don't know that do this now, I do feel like the community itself is incredibly supportive. They'll show up whenever you need them in terms of like, charities, streams, special events, things like that. They come out in full force. And the most special thing about this community I found is they're always welcoming, they're always willing to help, and they're always willing to kind of, lift each other up when, especially with the new creators that are out there. So it impresses me. I agree with you in how impressive it is overall.
Yeah.
In terms of Lego, I don't think I know your Lego story. So I'm
Lego
very
story.
I would love to hear. I don't know if
Mm.
you had a Dark Ages or
I
not.
did.
Yeah,
I did have a dark age. Yeah, I had a very long dark age.
yeah,
Um, with cracks of light on occasion. Uh,
right.
so I think like, wow, I'm old, so give me a minute. I think I probably had a good solid 10 to 12 years after like my 20s. So into my mid 30s, right?
Mhm.
Where I was just not really doing anything. And then strangely enough, um, I started working for Warner Brothers Games here in Boston, and we would go out to lunch. We'd go here or there. And
Mhm.
on a whim, we went to a place near us called Newberry Comics. It's kind of a chain of comic book stores up here. And they had some small Batman Lego sets.
Oh,
So
nice.
I would pick up on lunch these little, $7, $8 sets, and they'd go on my desk. They were my desk widgets, things to fidget with. Didn't think much of them. Fast forward half dozen sets later, several years later,
Yeah.
you know, 2007. I can give you the exact date. Christmas, 2007. Uh, Christmas morning, wife puts a very large box in front of me. Um, no clue, right? Not even the vaguest clue. And it was actually the UCS Imperial Shuttle.
Awesome.
So this huge Lego set, it's like 2,500 pieces.
Yeah.
And she's like, I thought this looked cool, and you're a Star Wars fan, and I knew you'd love it. And that set is 4 feet that way, kind of to my left.
Yeah.
And it has never been disassembled. It's cleaned, but it has sat there, and it is the one thing that has moved with me everywhere. And it really was the spark. And it is the thing that really kind of brought me to all of the madness that's in this room right now. Where I'm glad this is the only portion of it that's live on stream, because if you saw the other side of the room, it would be like, what the heck did you do?
Yeah. That's a great
So,
story. And ever since you've been building Lego.
yeah, pretty much everything. Once in a while, she'll still sneak in because she's reached the point where now it's like, I'm never buying you another Lego set again because you have everything.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'll get something on a birthday or a Christmas, or there'll be a little set somewhere.
Yeah.
Or my favorite now is she'll see something because the catalog's coming, and she'll look at the catalog and she goes, your catalog's here. And then the next day it'll be, so did you see in the back of the catalog? Are you going to get that? And then it becomes a negotiation of who's paying how much. And
Right.
then we end up getting the set together. So.
That's great. So you've been, you got back into Lego, and like you said, there's moments of light from your dark ages, and then you've been building ever since. What kind of sparked the idea of doing it on Twitch?
So like I said, I'd been kind of off and on Twitch. There's most of the games that are popular on Twitch. I don't play. I'm really, really bad at first person shooters. Look, if you need free XP, invite me to a game because I'm your guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm a body count. If you need me, I'm there. That was kind of like not my scene. So I was doing retro games for a little while. I actually, somewhere in my VODs, I think there are actually a couple of streams where I managed to get an old Atari 800 home computer hooked up.
Wow. Yeah.
And streamed that for a few games, like super retro. Miraculously, the floppy drive on it still worked, right?
That's amazing.
So I was doing that. I was doing some old Lucas games, and just one day I was like, how hard would it really be to kind of set up a rig? Because I had watched someone doing just basic model building, right? Just your plastic model kit with an overhead cam. And I was like, I wonder if you can do that for Lego.
Yeah.
And I kind of got things set up, sort of pretty rickety original setup, right? I was like, this is functional. Let's do this. And shockingly enough, people started watching it. They were watching that more than the retro gaming, which probably is not true today. But at the time it was, or it was a testament of how bad I was at that too. And I just won't admit it. And it just sort of grew from there. And then I realized that, people are interested in this, people enjoy it. And it scratched an itch that I have had for a very long time. And that's my original career, my first career, what my education is actually in, is mass communications and broadcasting. So I was in radio for 10 years. And all of a sudden, I found a way that I don't have to focus on a game or playing this game or being good. I can have an ongoing conversation with my chat and talk about anything and everything in a real-time, one-to-many conversation and get feedback and input in real time. This is fantastic. So that's kind of always been how my stream works.
Mm-hmm.
It's arguably more about the conversation than the Lego at times.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I think that Lego in whatever form, whether it's mocks or just building a set, really affords the streamer to invite that conversation. And, because you're, generally if you're gaming, your attention is super split,
Right.
And with like when I realized that I could build, I can still carry a conversation while building because, even building something complex or really diving into Technic or something like that, you could still easily stop what you're doing and have a conversation, engage the chat, and then return to what you're doing. Or even the whole time you're still putting bricks together. And so that's a really cool discovery. I think, your thought there is I mean, I had the exact same experience when I was building the Daily Bugle set last year. That was incredible to me. I got out of that experience thinking, I can still do something fun. I can still engage the people in my channel and still feel like something is happening, progress is being made, in that there's a build happening, but you can focus on the chatters. And that is one of the greatest things about it, in my opinion, because you went from retro games to brick building. Was there any moment where you were doing both, or you just kind of, how did that transition go for you?
So it was kind of a 70-30 gaming Lego. Then it became sort of a 50-50. And then it got to the point for a really long time where we would do a thing where it was Retro Sunday night, where that was the only day I was streaming retro games, was Sunday nights, right? And the other 3 nights that I streamed were brick building. That shuffled around for a while to where Thursdays became kind of like gaming with the community. So we'd pick multiplayer games. It started off with The Lord of the Rings Online, largely because I used to work on that game. So it was really easy for me to fall in and out of that game pretty quickly. And a lot of people knew me from that. So they'd come and play, like the former CM of Lotro is going to play. Let's go play with him. So that was fun. And then it became more of a, as my brick building community grew, it was like, let's play Jackbox party games. Let's play, Marbles on Stream. Let's play Life. We play Life from time to time, and just, how do we get a half dozen people, in the Discord chat, all just being really, really goofy and insane and playing, these fun games. Used to be a time when that was definitely not a night I would have recommended anybody watch. You'd be surprised if you turn a half dozen brick builders loose in a Discord with no rules, they will take full advantage of that.
No surprise there.
Yeah. So now it's 99.9% brick building for every stream. There's a want to go back and find a night, or at least a few hours a night, where we can kind of get back that fun of gaming with the community.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about what's going to be a good night of that. But at this point, I joke, as like my stream really, I do a just chatting stream.
Yeah.
Just the byproduct of that is I need something to do with my hands, so I build Lego while I'm talking.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of how I feel about it right now.
Yeah. That's pretty. I would say for a fair amount of people who do Lego on stream, that's a fairly like pretty often people will experience that. I like the transition that you had where it was like slowly tipping the scale from games to brick building, just kind of very slowly, and then now here you are with 99% of the time brick building. And I've actually had the same feeling. It's funny that you're mentioning you'd like to get back to the community game night, because I myself have been thinking more about that. A lot of the content I stream is actually solely the talk show, but I've been working up to do more build streams again. And then I'm like, you know what? Now's a good time to reintroduce Jackbox Night. Like you said, I had some friends pull me into some Among Us recently. I was like, maybe I could do some of that with the community again, because it's been a while. And I think that's a really great way to, get to know your chatters, hanging out with them, playing games with them. Are there any specific games that you like playing with your community?
So it's interesting, because chat just reminded me, we do actually still play games almost every night. We have trivia redeems in chat. I call it the trivia block party, because I have multiple card sets from things going all the way back to like the original edition of Trivial Pursuit.
Really?
So we used to have it as a redeem called Your Trivia is Old, because most of it is either now outdated, right? Because that set came out in 1986, 87. So it's only information up to that point. And also we have found lately that we've hit a section of cards that primarily seem to deal with the 40s and 50s, which none of us remember.
Right.
So
That's crazy.
There's these awkward things. So yeah. And I do introduce more and more of those kind of things. I was gifted a game called Florida Man, which, if you've ever played the game Two Truths and a Lie, it's basically that. It's 3 Florida Man headlines. One of them's not true. It's really hard to tell which is which. So yeah, we do still play it. When we play actual games, though, Jackbox party games, especially the trivia stuff. My community really enjoys trivia, because it's a fun thing that even if you're not in the game itself, you can play in chat. Right. Yeah. You can make your guesses and you can do, different things to feel connected to it. And to me, that's the most important thing, is that people feel connected, noticed, and seen, and engaged and part of the community while I stream. Yeah. I mean, that's really, for me, what it's about, is getting that engagement. So yeah, we do a lot of trivia stuff still. Like I said, the Jackbox party games, when we used to actually play just games. There's some great board game versions. I don't know if the VOD's still around. My community will tell you. There was the Uno deathmatch game that lasted one hand of Uno for over 2 hours. At the end of which we all quit and uninstalled Uno. Sorry, Ubisoft, because that was just too much. There was a lot of stress for 2 hours.
How does one hand of Uno end up going that long?
I had no idea, and I was there for it.
It just
someone would get down to Uno, and like one time around the table, they'd have 40 cards in their hands again, and that would,
oh my god,
we would just keep going.
That's incredible. I thank you for telling me that, because Uno was one of the ones that I was like, well, maybe I'll do Uno, and
it's fun, but just be prepared.
Be prepared to be in like a ridiculously long game.
Yep,
those are some great suggestions. We kind of touched on this briefly, but you being in the game industry, what is it exactly? For those that don't know, what do you do by day?
So currently, I am the director of influencer and community activations for Yellow Pike Media, which is a really fancy way of saying I work for a digital agency who partners with brands to build their communities up. So, for example, every game has a community, right? Most businesses have some form of communities. So it's the strategy, the growth, and the performance of that community, we will help them with. And on the influencer side, we will have, especially recently in the pandemic, more what we call non-endemic brands, non-gaming brands who are very interested in the streaming space, that are interested in gamers and interested in people who are making content more so than traditional advertising. So they'll bring us in and say, look, we want to learn this space. We want to know how to work with these creators. Can you help us find creators, contract them, and budget them out for us so that we can hit these goals and meet our advertising and marketing needs? And it's been really, really fun. I've worked companies I can name. So we've worked with NASCAR. We've worked with several fast food chains that pretty much everybody knows, especially if you're on the West Coast, more so than the East Coast. We've worked with Google, EA, Ubisoft on a lot of their launches and products. So it's been really interesting. Without naming names, if you know a major creator, we've probably worked with them.
That is a really cool career to be in, especially as someone who also does, streaming on their own time. How long have you been doing that?
So I started at Yellow Pike. This October next January will be 6 years.
Wow. So you've seen some stuff, and you've had some incredible experiences.
Yeah. And then, prior to that, I like you said, I was more fully in the games industry. I worked for Warner Brothers Games here in Boston. I worked on Lord of the Rings Online, DDO Online. I worked for a really great French indie studio called Novacorp. They have a game out that it went through Kickstarter called Dual Universe. Imagine if you had Minecraft with 150% better building tools in an EVE Online PvP environment. It's ridiculous. It's insane. If you're not a PvPer, just be ready if you plan on checking it out.
Be prepared.
But yeah.
That's really cool. So you've had this career where you've been in games, or now, I mean, you're still in games, but now you're more on the influencer side of things, which this is a unique opportunity to pick your brain in terms of what what things influencers or content creators or people in that space can do to get the attention of companies like yours, or to get more involved with companies that'd be interested in working with influencers. And you and I kind of talked about this briefly before we chatted, is what kind of things would someone in your position tell a content creator that they may not be aware of, or things that would help them get better in touch with companies like yours?
So I think one of the first things I'm going to say is going to make everybody mad.
Here we go.
So as creators, we tend to focus on growth, and we tend to focus on, how many followers, how many subs, nobody cares.
Yeah.
From my work side of the fence, it's a number. You may catch my attention with that number, but I'm going to go look through a bunch of different tools and find out how many of those people are actually watching you, how many people are actually paying attention, and for how long.
Right.
I'm interested in, that little red number under your stream every day. That's the number I'm curious about. What is that number, and what is that number over a 30, 60, and 90-day average?
Right.
That's going to inform me about everything. Because if you have, YouTube's a great example. I have worked with creators that have 10 million subs on YouTube, and their videos get 12,000 views. What less than 1%.
Right.
No brand is going to pay for your followers. They're going to pay for your viewers.
Right.
That's how the rates are set. And I think when you're small, learning that and like internalizing it and understand it's not that I need more people. I need to keep the people I have engaged and watching and coming back. Growth in the follower and subcategory is great. There's incentives from Twitch and YouTube and other channels to do that. But when someone like me comes looking, the number I care about is what's the actual performance of your average streams, or if you're a YouTube creator, what's the actual performance per video over a 30-day average.
And then you also factor that against the other
Sure.
data, but
Right.
primarily you're looking
There's
at
a lot of other data, but that's the core. That's what's going to catch my eye. I'm probably going to tell my team, hey, find people with this many subs or above,
Mhm.
and then filter out those that are 10, 15, 20,000 views or better as a
Right.
starting place.
That's a really interesting. I think, and like you said, a lot of people either don't think about that or it makes them go,
Mhm.
oh, wow, right? Like I didn't realize that.
Exactly. And I think the other thing, and I've actually heard, especially in the brick building community, and I'm going to give, a nickel's worth of free advice here. Diversify, diversify, diversify.
Mhm.
Twitch is not going to be your home for all things.
Right.
Once I identify someone or my team brings me someone, my next question is always to them, so what are their other socials look like? What
Mhm.
are they doing on their other socials? Is it a consistent brand?
Mhm.
Is it a consistent flow of, are they taking their Twitch and making a really cool mashup and putting it on YouTube? And are they taking that YouTube and making a really cool reel out of it, or a TikTok, or are they starting on TikTok and flipping it to a reel? All of these things become an ecosystem. And someone in your chat talked about, coming to Twitch with Jang.
Right.
And that is exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Jang had a huge audience on YouTube, and a
Mhm.
lot of it rolled into Twitch with him. And that is why his channel grew so fast. He had a built-in audience that he brought with him.
Yep.
And then we discovered him as brick builders here on Twitch, and he grew. And that's why, as far as I know, he's really kind of the first brick builder to ever get partner.
Right.
And that's how he did it. He had a really great growth strategy. He was looking to expand, his influence across different channels, and he did everything right.
Yeah. So diversify.
Diversify, diversify, diversify. If you're sitting there, wondering why you're not growing, and it's hard, and you're
Mhm.
wondering why you're not, getting this or that, start making content elsewhere. Start porting your content elsewhere. You've already made the content, repurpose it, use it somewhere else. That's free attention,
Yeah.
because you're 30 people on Twitch that don't ever really catch you on any other social.
Mhm.
Those people, they're probably on Twitter with the right hashtag. You'll find them and they'll go, oh, I know more and more. Let me follow him.
Yeah.
And now they're reminded when you go live.
Yeah.
So you're going to retain that follower that I was talking about earlier. That's like, if they're not watching you, I don't care about them.
Yep.
But if they're watching you, now maybe tomorrow, instead of 25 concurrent viewers, you're getting 26 because that person came back because you tweeted something. People are everywhere. You need to be where they are.
Right.
And if you're telling yourself, no, I'm just going to focus on Twitch, you're literally giving up 99.8% of your potential.
Yeah.
Right there.
I love those points that you made. And I think this is something that people don't think about. And especially, there's a lot of streamers here on Twitch who are in that space that you're just saying, where like I'm not growing, I don't know what to do, or I'm just gonna keep streaming and eventually maybe my viewership will grow. But what really drives that growth is those other platforms,
Yep.
whether it's a YouTube, video where you had a really funny moment or a really good story that you could chop up and put up as a video, or a clip that you could actually turn into a reel or a YouTube short or something like that.
If someone has clipped your content, tweet about it. Tweet your clip,
Yeah.
or take that clip and put it on TikTok, put it on Instagram as a reel, put it on YouTube as a short.
Yeah.
Do something else with it. Somebody thought that content was interesting for whatever. Maybe it was embarrassing. Maybe it was silly. Maybe it was fun. Doesn't matter. Somebody found it worthwhile enough that they wanted to preserve it.
Yeah.
Utilize that. Take that and put it somewhere else. And that's your door to get someone on YouTube or someone on Instagram or TikTok or wherever to say, hey, this guy is doing stuff over here too. Let's go check that out.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow. Twitch is really hard to grow on.
It
It's
is.
really hard. In large part because of what we were talking about earlier. How big has the brick building community become?
Yeah.
How fast? Every single category you can think of on Twitch grew that fast during the pandemic. If
Yep.
everybody's making content, nobody's watching content.
Exactly. I think you've made some very incredible points here, and not to beat a dead horse, but
Mm,
what's really, to kind of tap into that thought and those tips. You get, let's say you're a streamer and you stream 2 to 3 times a week for 3 to 4 hours, right?
mhm.
You're live, you're live for, let's say, 9, 10 hours out of the week, if that. But, if you're not sharing content, be it YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, whether they be clips or shorts or a whole highlighted, 5, 10 minute sequence, like you're essentially leaving that content on the table to not be consumed, right? Because when they start to go to those other places where they're now, you know, accessible content anytime, someone will stumble upon that eventually. And all it takes is a couple, you know, breakout moments, and you'll start to see more and more people go, oh, you know, oh, this person's on Twitch. I should follow them on Twitch as well and catch this live, because
Yeah.
that was a really hysterical moment of that guy dancing in TikTok leggings.
Yeah, exactly. And make a point that if you do that, here's a really good example. I know some brick building community people who do make really good YouTube content, and nowhere on their content do they ever say, "And you can catch me live on Twitch."
Yeah.
You have people, you have an audience.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find you, other than just waiting for you to post a VOD somewhere.
Yeah.
You can grow your audience from YouTube. And if you're smart about how you do your thumbnails and your titles, you'll grow a lot faster on YouTube than you will on Twitch.
Definitely.
All that audience can come. All you have to do is tell them, if you
Yeah.
enjoyed this, you should check out when I did it live on
Yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah.
It's a huge missed opportunity for people.
It's huge. And what's funny is, that's where I ended up with this show, where I started recording this show, and I was like, obviously this would just be great evergreen content to leave up on a site like YouTube. But I did it backwards, in that I started on Twitch, and I was like, let's just post this on YouTube. And a lot of the growth that I'm seeing is from people who see these, VODs, or hear, you hear about it from another brick builder. Like, hey, if you want to learn more about Panfred Nudo, there was a really cool episode of this on this YouTube channel. I do get those people who say, hey, I saw your show with Panfred Nudo.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. I mean, in my mind, and I've actually done this in white papers and presentations and reports for people to help them understand how it works. If you think of the infinity sign, kind of that sideways 8 that just always loops into itself, that should be your content creation.
Right.
All of your content should constantly feed into the other content.
Yeah.
And it's important too, for people like me, when I come and say, hey, this guy's got a really good YouTube channel, or this person's Twitch is outstanding.
Yeah.
She is the best content creator I've seen in that category.
Mhm.
If I then go and look at your Twitter and you haven't tweeted in 6 months, your value to me just hit the floor, because
Right.
the brand I'm working with is going to say, well, I'd like them to do 2 hours and tweet about it. Well, there's no value in your tweet,
Yep.
because nobody's paying attention because you haven't talked to them in 6 months.
Right. Or it's,
what I'm going to offer you just fell dramatically.
yeah, or it's the feed that you see that's just going live tweets, and
Yeah.
nothing else.
Which is even worse, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Now, the real secret is make sure you're being what's known as brand safe. And Brian Saviano, if he's listening, he's probably cheering right now.
Yeah.
Brand safety is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. No company is going to green light paying someone to curse, swear, and be very marginal, and then have to explain that to their legal department.
Yeah,
It's not going to happen.
exactly. I love Brian for that. And he's so aware of it, and I know
Mhm.
that is actively the work that he's doing is all based on making sure he can be, a
Yeah,
brand would
absolutely.
be willing to work with him, and I love that about him. What's so great is, he's so passionate about it, and uh, you know, as someone who looks for influencers and content creators, uh, how often have you had to pass on someone that isn't really able to, be brandable?
Every single person that I put in front of a client, my team has gone back 18 months minimum to
Mm,
see is this one of the people that made some really bad life choices during the whole Black Lives Matter thing and
right.
sort of stood up and started screaming all lives matter. I'm probably not calling you
Right.
because there's friction there, and a lot of people are going to say, oh, the woke movement, no, this it really is a case of nobody is going to pay money to get themselves into public hot water. it's
Yeah.
it's just that simple. It's something you have to keep in your brain,
Yeah.
because and maybe a lot of brick builders aren't thinking this way. I mean,
Mm,
I know pretty confident Jang does. I know because I've had conversations with Brian that he does.
mhm.
You are a brand. What is your brand? You
Right.
asked me earlier. It's like, what do you consider your content?
Yep.
Whatever that answer is, you need to have an answer for what is my brand, and your content should reflect that. That's the bigger question. What is my brand?
Mhm.
Who am I presenting myself as to my audience? Who am I presenting myself as to potential brands that may want to work with me?
Yeah.
That's big.
It's huge. And that's actually kind of the softball I try to toss at my guests because I
Mhm.
I really do want them, the whole point of this show is to highlight my guests and those creators and what they do, and I kind of try to toss that softball of like, without saying what's your brand, but like what
Mhm.
can people expect of your
Right.
channel
What
and your
what
community?
makes you different?
Exactly.
Why am I watching you? Look, like we were saying earlier, most of us are really just doing just chatting streams, and a
Totally.
large portion of the community has switched to doing literally in the category just chatting.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I'm looking behind you, and it's like, I built that on stream, I built that.
Yeah.
How many times can you realistically watch someone build the Daily Diesel on stream? It's the
Exactly.
same set. So why did I watch you do it instead of Zach or instead of Brian or
E-
somebody else who built it? Right?
exactly.
There's got to be a reason. Or why am I watching you even though I've already seen that set be built 5 times?
Uh-huh.
Because my interest at that point is definitely not the set. I already know.
Yeah.
It's what are you bringing to the table? Why am I hanging out with you today?
Exactly. I mean, so often, whatever it is we're streaming is often just the gateway, you know,
Mhm.
to getting someone to look at you, right? But within that first 30 seconds to 60 seconds, usually, and I mean, I'm not stating a fact here, but it's been my experience when I'm browsing through Twitch, if I'm watching someone build, the at, it's not just the at I'm really looking at. I'm listening
Mhm.
to what they're saying. I'm trying to see how they engage their viewers, and if it's cool, if I'm interested in the conversation and what that person is bringing to the table, I'll stick around. Maybe
Right.
I'll even give them a follow if I've been there long enough. But it's really, what are those things that make you stand out? What's the differentiating factor that you bring? What's your brand? Like you
Right.
said.
Yep. And you just hit something like really important. It's like, if you're into what they're saying and if you're enjoying the conversation, you'll stick around.
Yep.
And then if you stick around long enough, you might give them a follow.
Yep.
These things are not automatic. And I think a lot of content creators sometimes forget that.
Hmm.
Not only do you have to offer a value to that specific viewer or listener,
Hmm.
you also need to ask.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. I'm horrible at asking. I'm really bad. I have
Same.
bought things set up. I just That's not
Same.
me. And,
Yeah.
and it's kind of funny because as I'm sitting here passing all this knowledge, it's like, and I'm going down the checklist and I don't do that. And I don't do that.
And I don't do this. And
And I don't do any of these things that I'm telling people they should do. And the reason, the honest reason is I'm not trying to be the next Shroud or Ninja or, whoever,
exactly.
right?
Yes.
I'm not trying to join 100 Thieves here, right? I don't want to be part of FaZe Clan. It's not my goal. I have fun. I have a great supportive community. I'm here for the conversation.
Yeah.
Everything else is just cool. Do I have goals? Sure. But it's not, wow, I'm driving towards being a full-time creator.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, because I think that's often lost on people as well, where it's, people kind of get, because Twitch does such a good job of making you worry about all these stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get the email breakdown.
They tell you at the end of every screen, at every stream, it's like, and depending on how you view them, it's like, oh, wow, that stream really sucked. I barely got any people to pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Why did I want to know this?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Like, so you get the breakdown. You're like, oh man. And it even tells you stream over stream how you did.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, cool. Like 10 less people chatted this stream or whatever. But what's really important is figuring out what you want to do, right? Do you want to grow the channel so you can go full time, or do you want to just build Lego and hang out and have funny conversations, right?
I tell people, it's like, I do a 3 to 4 hour radio show 4 nights a week, and you can show up for it or not. And it's because coming from that and always having wanted to be a DJ and wanted to do talk radio and having done it for a decade, in my brain, it's like, I can now do that and nobody can fire me.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell me, get out. I mean, Twitch could, I guess, but sure. I can't get fired. It's my own radio station. And if you want to come hang out, you're welcome to come hang out. If you don't like what I have to say, hey man, time is a finite resource. You spend it where you feel you can spend it best.
Yeah. So you've outright just said kind of your thoughts and your intentions as a streamer here on Twitch. You're really more into it for, having fun, hanging out, getting to know people, chat them up. What other things intentionally are you trying to do with your Twitch channel?
So I have always been very firmly of the belief that if you have a platform, an audience, and a voice, you also have an attendant responsibility to use them to help others. So one of my big passions is always, I don't even keep track now how many different fundraisers I do every year, to find a place where I can say, hey guys, here's the thing that I believe in. And I wanted to share this with you. And if you have the ability and the resources to help, no matter how big or how small, let's try to help. We have raised money for the Trevor Project. We've raised money. I see the Extra Life symbol behind you. We talked about this earlier. In my 10 or 12 years of Extra Lifing, I think now, I've raised over $140,000 for Extra Life.
Amazing.
We raised last summer a member of my community, a very beloved member of my community, lost their battle with cancer, and we raised over $13,000 for the American Cancer Society. Like I said, we at the start of the pandemic, we went, and I am a huge proponent of an organization called Feeding America. They're sort of the national spokes charity for most of the major food banks in the major cities in the U.S. For example, the Boston Food Bank receives a lot of their funding from Feeding America. So we raised over, I think it was $1,500 for Feeding America at the beginning. None of these, if you look at, who was it that just raised $40 million to clean the ocean? Mr. Beast. I mean, if you look at it in that context, this is kind of like, that's not a lot of money. But my community isn't huge. We're I'm kind of like looking down at your stats. We're about the same size in terms of usual viewers. Yeah. For 20 or 30 or 40 people to go out and raise $13,000 for the American Cancer Society in the span of 6 weeks, that's massive. That's insane generosity to me. Yeah. That's why I'm here. I I have really hard times and struggles with saying, "Hey guys, sub to me,
Yeah.
help me get that monthly payout." And look, I'm human.
Yeah.
It feels good when that payout hits, right? And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how much it is. It's like, internet validation. I love you, right?
Exactly.
Um, but I go in knowing it's like I'm really hoping that if I'm doing a charity stream that month, I'm hoping I just barely make it to that $100 minimum and we make bank for the charity.
Yeah.
I'm doing St. Jude live now. And the target small is $500, but the first night we got almost halfway there.
That's great.
So we'll see where that goes. But that's my other purpose.
Yeah.
It's like let's talk about how to help people. Whatever that cause may be, let's figure it out. There is, like we were talking before we started recording, it's been a week, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like it's been a week for like the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So
true.
I'm a huge fan of anytime you can find a minute to give something back, even if it's just, sometimes I'll throw on the mental health thing because
Mhm.
either I've had a crap day or it's been a bad week. And it's like, hey, if I'm doing bad and I'm coming in here trying to be super upbeat, I know other people
Yeah.
are having a day, right? So
Yeah.
let's talk about it. Don't ever think you've got to like avoid a subject or something that's upsetting or bothering you or sad in my channel, because you don't. And if you don't feel like putting it out there publicly, send me a note. I have no problem with whispers or DMs on Discord or anything.
Yeah.
I think that for me is like the lowest possible hanging fruit of being human is to just be there for another human. So that's what I try to do.
I love that. I thank you for saying those things, because I think you and I are very similar in a lot of those ways, actually, because a lot of, Extra Life, St. Jude's, I've, done Trevor Project as well. There's, you said, you said something that really resonates with me, in that when you have a community, when you have a channel, or you begin to start getting followers or a following of some kind, you begin to have a responsibility. You begin to have this amount of influence, or whatever you want to call it, on other people. You have a platform, and like you, I certainly believe there's that amount of responsibility we all have as creators when we start getting these followings, when we start, whether it's intentional or not, or whether you're doing it for reasons that are not specifically for that, you suddenly have you have a say that's much more than just you, right? You have a say.
Even if you don't realize it. And I think that's important. Even if you don't
Yes.
realize it, people are listening to you. If anyone in your chat has ever asked you a question
Yeah.
about anything, it's because what you think matters to that person.
Yep.
And it means they're listening to everything you're saying.
Yep. And it's like an iceberg, right? In that no matter, if it was one person asking one question the whole time you're streaming, there are probably a lot more in your chat who haven't said a thing,
Oh, absolutely.
or who that person that did ask a question, they probably have so many more things they want to say. And I think a lot of people forget that, and a lot of streamers don't think about that, particularly newer ones. But like, I think across the board, once you begin to build your community, it's no longer just about you. It's about what
100%.
Yeah, it's about what you're
100%.
able to drive as the creator, because you push that forward. So whether it's sending out a good message, whether it's doing charity streams or whatever it is, or even commenting on the state of the world, whatever that looks like, people are listening.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I think we're both on the same page. It's like, for me, I feel like there's an obligation and a responsibility there. Like,
Mhm.
I was saying earlier, it's like, look, you get that payout middle of the month, that internet validation, but I'm
Yeah.
also really cognizant of the fact that, I'm not doing anything special. I'm hanging out and talking to people. So I make a point every month of some portion of that is part of my monthly charitable donations to, local organizations in my community and some national organizations as well. I know my audience has heard me plug it, so I'm going to plug it here. I'm a big fan of Kiva. If you've never heard of it, Kiva. It is a micro loan site where you go and you set up basically an account with X number of dollars in it. And you can go and help villages, individuals all over the world fund the things they need for fundamental parts of life that we don't even think of here in the US. So I'm always on the hunt. My personal preference is I go into developing countries, you know, with my little pocket of funds, and I'll find, you know, largely women-owned businesses, or, you know, things that will empower women, or schools for women. And that's where a portion of my monthly payout goes every single month, is I grow that fund and find more and more of those I can find. And the beautiful thing about it is you're not, there's a lot of people in the world who think, you know, it's like, well, I'm not giving people a handout. You're not, it's a loan. It's a super low interest, really small micro loan that can be as small as $25, that to someone who doesn't have clean water in their community, $25 is a well.
Yeah.
It's literally life, right? And the expectation is that it's paid back. It's $25 paid back over a year. You might get $1 back every month or whatever, right?
Right.
But there is like this incredible feeling of, you get your $25 back and you go, you know what? These people have a better life. They feel better about themselves because it wasn't a handout, right?
Right.
And you've done good. Now let's take that and some more money and let's find somebody else to help. So that's for anyone who's thinking, oh, I can't do anything that'll make any real difference because I can only give $5 or $10. Look into Kiva. And in general, don't ever think that $5 or $10 isn't a lot. I can give you examples of what that can do for a children's hospital. It's a lot.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference across the board. And yeah, even $1, $5, it all does something.
And something meaningful, something that can change lives. That's the important thing to remember, I think.
Yeah. Great
Never
stuff.
feel less than because you can't drop that Bill Gates check. You're not. There's 300 million people in this country. If we all gave $1 to the same charity, we would drop a check bigger than Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Just with $1.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox.
No, I love it. I love it. Do you have any thoughts for people who are trying to figure out, you know, how to get started in charity streaming or helping charities themselves?
About? What are you passionate about? It's the same question of why are you streaming, right?
Yeah.
What is the passion that brought you to Twitch or to content creation?
Yeah.
What is the thing you're passionate about? I always lean towards helping sick kids. That's why I actually went to work for CMN hospitals and helped, you know, elevate the Extra Life program for a couple of years. Yeah. I will always support people who don't have a voice or whose voices are being taken away from them. So those are my passions, and the charities I will support. And St. Jude's, Extra Life, Trevor Project, things like that tend to very, very much focus in on that. It's old school. I'm an 80s guy, but I support Rock the Vote still to this day.
Yes, I love it.
So they still get some money every month.
Oh, that's great.
It's what are you passionate about? What is your passion? What is your personal story? Everyone has a personal story of something, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have unfortunate tragedies in our life. We have unfortunate occurrences, or a memory of a friend from school or a coworker, you know, and you feel helpless. Take that.
Yeah.
Don't be helpless.
Yeah.
Go find a way to turn that into a passion for fundraising.
Yeah.
And exactly like with your followers and your reports, don't be discouraged when you spend 2 weeks and you raise $50. $50 is a lot of money. It does a lot of good. You can feed 50 families for $50 at most food banks.
It's so true. That's great advice. I definitely think that finding something you're passionate about is where to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You and I have a lot of the same causes too. looking at it. Yeah. Big Extra Life fundraiser, St. Jude as well, you know, and I have my stories that really resonate with me, and that's how I chose those. Is I wanted to help sick kids because you know, um, I have personal stories about friends
Yep.
in my young adult life that you know being in a hospital for months sucks. You know,
Yep.
and any kind of help you can send is great.
100%. I will give you a website, charitynavigator.org, I think it is.
Okay.
Whatever you want to support, always do your research. There are a lot of
Yes.
charities out there that they sound great. They're really not when you look at your financials. Charity
Mhm.
Navigator does a pretty good job of sort of steering you away from some of those and give you a good sense of, you know, of who is and who isn't doing right. You'll see a lot of junk on the internet about, oh, some charities got, their CEOs making $400,000 a year. Don't give to them. No, please do. That
Yeah.
is insanely responsible of a charity to pay their CEO $400,000 because you have to pay them something. You want a
Yeah.
competitive CEO that understands business, but they're not paying them. Who is it? Goldman Sachs. They just denied their CEO a $52 million pay raise. It's,
Yeah.
$400,000 in the CEO world in the corporate space. And that is where charities operate
Yeah.
is nothing.
Definitely.
That is nothing. Don't be put off by those numbers. If they're raising $2 million a year and they're paying him $1.5 million, then yeah, there's something.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people check the financials. They're publicly available. They have to
Yeah.
be.
Need the context.
Yep.
Yeah. That's really great. As a creator yourself, doing all these wonderful things and still, being on Twitch after all this time,
Mhm.
is there anything that has really, besides the charity work,
Mhm.
really motivated you to continue to do what you do?
Hmm. I mean, half of them are in your chat right now. I'll be really honest. There are nights where I just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what? I've been doing this 3 years straight, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. No way. I'm taking a night for me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go and do it. And I feel like, and I think all creators do this. I sometimes feel like there's this sense of, it's like, well, I have to, right? So many people have subbed to me. It's like I owe them a stream, right?
Yeah.
But I get there and it's like 10 minutes in. I was like, this was the best decision I've made all day, is to come and hang
Yeah.
out with these people because they're freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And why was I ever even thinking that I didn't want to do this tonight? That's just dumb. And I'll get off stream and I usually do 3 hours a night. I'll be done and it'll be 4.5 hours later. And it's a longer stream than I usually do because that's where the energy is coming from.
Yeah.
Right? Is from them. I mean, sure, stuff comes up. People get sick. People have family things, and you have to miss it.
Right.
But yeah, I think every creator kind of has that. It's like, man, I'm just not into it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not vibing it.
Yeah.
And then you get in there, and it's like, it's because I wasn't here. I wasn't with my people, right? It's like, now I'm with my people, and this is great, and I'm having fun, and we're playing trivia, and we're talking about ridiculous candy from the 80s or whatever. It's like, why would I ever not do this? It's really a source of energy for me. I hear about creators who, when they're done, they're just like, that's it. I don't ever want to stream again. It's like, that was exhausting. I have to go sleep for 12 hours now. I don't go to sleep for probably an hour and a half afterwards because I'm too pumped. Even if it doesn't come across on stream, it was like,
Yeah.
there was so much cool shit that went down. I'm
Yeah.
so happy.
Do it for the people.
Yep. Sixlets. Freaky 80s candy.
Wow. I really appreciate the call out. I think a lot of us creators feel that way when it comes to our communities. I mean, I've had those moments often where I'm just like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if I feel like I can do this, or I'll stare at OBS. I'll just kind of stare at the button. The cursor's on it.
It gets big, doesn't it? It looms in front of you. It's like,
yeah. I stare at it. My fingers on the button, and I'm like, do I though? Do I feel this? and truthfully, I've, outside of crossing the streams, I've actually taken a somewhat extended break because of, not because I don't miss my community, but because, a lot of things going on in the world right now, a lot of things happening, when,
and that is totally valid. And I
yep.
think it's important, I kind of made light of this, the whole, sometimes you don't want, sometimes it's you don't want to because you really don't feel you can.
Mm-hmm.
And like we keep saying, this has been a week, and there have definitely been times where it has been.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't know. And my community knows this just recently this week. I had a stream where there was no question that I was really, really pissed about current events, right?
Right.
And it really came out, and they helped walk me back from that. Just kind of, I'm just mad and I don't know where to put it, right? Yeah. So it's okay to feel that, and if you don't think you can stream under those conditions, your community will understand. If they're really there for you, and that's kind of an important point. If you've built a community that's there for you, they'll get it, right? They'll be okay. They understand that, you can't be all right all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody is, and it's perfectly okay to not be okay. And they will support you, and they will embrace you, and they'll be like, you know what? You do what you got to do, and we'll see you on the next one. And they will show up for the next one. I know a lot of creators are afraid of missing that stream because they're never coming back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they will. If they're there for you, and it's an important point, because so many creators forget this. And I've seen creators do things where I watch their streams, and I've seen some in the brick building community do it. It's like, you got mad numbers, bro, but there's not a single person here for you. They're not here for you. You've done something to entice them. And when you stop doing that, they're going away.
Yep.
The ones that are there for you won't.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they got lives, they'll be back.
Yeah.
I have 3 people I know that are creators who they became partners, and within 2 weeks after becoming partners, they stopped with the tactics they had used.
Oh, yeah.
They were back down to 12 viewers a stream.
Yeah. That happens so often. Because they did, they pulled out all the stops, right? Yep. They were doing the things that were getting them the attention. Yep. And then, they hit that goal, and then they're like, hey, now I coast. Yeah.
And and even in some cases, I won't say the individual's name, but I have a friend who streamed for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And their goal was partner, and they hit partner. And their method of getting to partner was to constantly give things away. Every single stream, big things, big money, big ticket, big hype. And the second those started to taper off, their audience did the same thing.
Yeah.
And once they stopped, they streamed to 12, 14 people.
Yeah.
That audience that got him to partner was never there for him.
Yeah.
They were there for stuff.
Yep.
And it's look, if you want partner, that's how you do it. Spend a lot of money. I hate to use the word bribe people to come and watch your stream by dangling all those carrots out there. They'll come, they'll hang out, and the second you stop, they'll leave.
Yeah.
And it's a huge temptation, right?
It is.
You see it work, because it does work.
It works. You see it all the time.
Yep. Yeah. But as soon as you hit partner and you stop doing that, they go away.
Yeah.
And I will let you in on a secret, and I would almost bet money that Jang would back this up too. Hitting partner, other than the ego stroke of that check mark, doesn't really do a lot for you.
Right.
You're not suddenly magically, getting 10 times more income. You still got to bust hump to get your subs and get the cheers. You're not getting a better split. I know there's a myth in the brick building community that you get like 70-30 instead of, you don't. You get 50-50.
Yep.
If you're not putting up 3, 5, 10,000 viewers at a time, Twitch is not coming to you with that sweetheart deal. You're just another creator. It's not worth burning yourself into the dirt to try and make partner. As
Yeah.
an affiliate, you really kind of have 98% of the things you'll get as a partner.
Yeah.
And those other 2% aren't meaningful. Unless you really like emotes. Unless you really, really, really want just a ton of emotes, then yeah, go for it.
Guaranteed transcoding, right?
Yeah, and
But yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm really glad that we went down this path, because, you know, it's interesting to see, right? Because we're actually seeing the brick building community itself is maturing to the point where there are a lot of people who are verging on that partner space.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the thought that there's this drive to go there to get that check mark. I get it. Like, you know, I have an ego too. I totally understand how that goes.
Totally.
But I think you know, you made the point that makes me go, yeah, that's why I'm scared of like giveaways, right? Or like always, you know, doing stuff like that. The only giveaways I generally do are during charity streams, because that's when I want people there and doing stuff.
Right.
But like, and like you, I have a hard time even just asking for follows. I have a hard time asking for subscribers and things like that, because it makes it really difficult. Like, yeah, you know, there's nothing, you know, there's nothing wrong with feeling good about getting that payout. Or there's nothing wrong with getting
internet validation, man. It's a thing.
It's true. Yeah. Like,
everybody wants to feel like people like, you know, want to be around them. They want that validation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a check.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a human. Like, when I get that payout, I'm like, yeah, look at me. Look at this guy. You know,
I go buy more Lego. I don't know what you do with yours, but
yeah.
I go buy some Lego, help out some of the local food banks and charities around here.
Yeah. I do one of three things. I go buy Lego, or I will donate to a charity, or I will turn around and put it into some of my fellow creators' channels with that money. That's usually what I
that's what I have a set amount every month that I use on create. Look, I think everybody in the brick building community would love it if we could sub to everybody else's channels.
Oh yeah.
The reality is there's hundreds of us. We can't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if someone in the community does sub to you, that's, you know, I take that as a really serious honor. That's, you know, you're going to drop $5 on my content, and you understand, and you know, and of all the creators out there, you chose me.
Yeah.
That to me is like a big deal.
It's huge.
You know, some people will be like, well, it's only $5 and you're only seeing 250 of it. It doesn't matter. Someone dropped cash because they thought what I'm doing is worthwhile, financially worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. It still blows my mind, you know, when I do see that, you know, if I get the email right from Twitch that's like, hey, your payout processed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man. And then I'll look at the total. I'm like, that means roughly so many people gave a crap about what I just did in the last month. That's pretty cool. So I'm glad that we're stopping to recognize that, because I think that that's often we don't just call that out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We don't. I try to make a point, and I don't remember to do it every stream, but I try and make a point on my streams to remind people that, you know, much like with charity, it's like, I just appreciate that you're here. Not everyone can drop $5 a month, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone can cheer 1,000 bits. Not everyone can even really afford to buy enough bits to cheer a handful of bits here and there.
Yeah.
But everybody has, and I've said this in a lot of different venues, and I remind everybody has one currency. There's really only one currency in life, and that's time. And it's a finite resource. It's non-renewable, and nobody knows exactly how much they have.
Yeah.
And the thought that you came and hung out with me for 3 hours, that is, for me, everything. Whatever it was I did that convinced you that I was worth 3 hours of this extraordinarily finite resource that you have, I wish someone would tell me what it was, because I don't know. You know, that to me is the huge thing. I actually look at my watch time. I'm probably one of the weird creators. Everybody else is looking at all their other numbers and like, am I going to get my check? I'm looking at my watch time and just going, I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm just here. It's just me. I'm hanging out.
Yeah.
But that number keeps going up. So somebody likes it and they've told people that like it. So I'll keep doing it.
That's a great point, actually. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to their watched time. Like it's something that I try to look at once in a while just to kind of get a gauge of how it's going, but I don't think
it matters to brands.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Yeah. Well, again, this circles back to your talk about, as someone who talks to content creators as part of your job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's something I'm looking at everybody else for. So when I see mine going up and mine hitting certain levels, like, wow, all right, I have done something right.
The value, right? The value can be derived from the watch time.
Exactly.
It's I don't know, whoever's listening, you need to look at it. If you haven't looked at it recently, if you're a creator who does this and you're really focused on trying to improve your community, your channel, and your content.
Absolutely.
Look at that time. As someone who works as a person who looks at content creators yourself, how do you feel that gives you an advantage, or how does that affect you as someone who creates content yourself? Because you're so cognizant of all these little.
I know when I'm doing everything wrong, and I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so for me, it's really weird because it's like being split down the middle. As a content creator, I know everything I should be doing because I do this other thing, right? But like I said earlier, that's not where I'm trying to go with this. I'm here to hang out with people and have fun. And look, I'm not going to lie. If this thing can support itself and I can do some good works with it, that check every month is awesome. Please don't unsubscribe to me because of all the things I've said. Please, I still seek your internet validation and love. But I also have this other flip side where I get really frustrated sometimes. And it's why if I haven't watched your streams, I do it to protect my brain because I see content creators that are out there and it's like, you could be so amazing. Why aren't you doing these things? And I don't feel like it's my place to just randomly walk into someone's stream and be like, hey, here's all the crap you're doing wrong. And if you just change this,
yes,
I could get you a brand. It feels really, really weird for me sometimes, because some people know what I do and they've come to me and asked. And it's like, I answer that honestly, I'm going to be such a jerk. I'm not going to mean to be, but if I deal straight with you, it's going to be like the hard thing, right?
Yeah.
It's here's the things you've just got to stop doing, right?
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing, and I'm going to say this because I'm saying it to every creator on Twitch right now, not just anyone in particular.
Yeah.
The hardest thing I think for most people to realize is that you're not as big as you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the brick building community. We're a big community now. Mm-hmm. We're in a teeny, tiny little pond.
Yeah.
I mean, I have crazy respect for everything that Jang does. But if I put on work brain and I'm looking for a creator, I'm cruising right past.
Right.
There's not numbers there to sustain. He started doing some more gaming though, so I may have to reevaluate that. But there are thresholds, and so far no one in this community comes close. Not even ballpark.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks I get to 25, right? I get to 30. I get to 50 concurrent views. This is good because within the community it is. Yeah. You get towards that partner thing and you're just like, I'm going to be someone. I've got to talk to my boss. I'm going to start thinking about, how do I do this full time? Until there's another 0 on the end of your 50, please don't do that.
Yeah.
I've heard from a couple of creators that are out there just going to rely on Twitch. And I think I'm at a point where I can just walk away from my job and I'm going to do this full time. It's like, unless you've got super, super popular channels somewhere else that I don't know about, and you're doing all the smart moves and diversifying and getting passive income from content from other places, please don't do that. Please don't. don't sink a ton of money into your stream either. If you're starting out and you think, so here's my speech to brand new creators. If you've been watching these streams, if you've been listening to these podcasts, I can do that. That sounds like a cool thing to do. I want to do it. But first I have to go buy, a $200 camera, and I've got to buy like this $500 mixer and a, $400 SM7B, because that's what you're talking into right now, isn't it? Is that the white SM7? No?
This is a beacon mic, but it does look like an SM7B.
It does look like an SM7. An SM7B is a $400 studio microphone. They use it to record like albums. It's one of the best mics you can buy.
Yeah.
And I see all of these creators with their 5 viewers with their SM7B hanging in front of their mouths and their, $1,500 PreSonus mixers. And I'm thinking, you went into debt for a really unsure thing. Please don't do that. Your $99 Snowball mic is fine. Your $79 Logitech 920 is more than fine.
Yeah.
You don't need a DSLR and hundreds of dollars worth of audio gear. And if you had to choose, if you've got $200 to spend, get the cheapy camera and get the Snowball mic. Spend the most money on the mic because the audio matters. If I can't see you really well, that's fine. As long as I can hear you, I'm probably going to listen.
Yeah.
But please don't go into debt when you start. It's so hard to get that money back.
Yeah. It's so true. I see it all the time. I will go into a stream of a brand new creator and they're already rocking the really nice mic, the really nice headset, or a really good camera, and I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? What are we doing? I agree. I mean, I still say this to new creators all the time. If you're going to buy anything, buy a reasonable microphone. Nothing that breaks the bank, nothing crazy, nothing hundreds of dollars, but buy a decent microphone.
Yep.
Around $100 is
There's
good.
Plenty of $100 mics out there that will last you for years.
Yeah.
And for the overwhelming majority of creators, they'll never need anything else.
Yeah. I've often pointed people to like the Elgato Wave 1 when it's on sale for like $100.
Good mic, and it's got a software mixer that just kills everything else.
Yeah.
I have a Go XLR. I have a $500 piece of equipment, which I did not buy until last year, by the way.
There you go.
So,
Exactly.
More than 8 years into doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
And the software that comes with a Wave mic is as good.
Yeah.
It's just as good in terms of a digital mixer. It's just as good.
Yeah.
And you're paying what? $129 for a Wave. You can probably get it closer to $100 flat if it's on sale for a Wave 1.
Exactly. Like if you wait for their sales, you can get a Wave 1 for $100. They did a thing where I think you bought Wave 1 for full price, but you also got a Stream Deck recently, which was pretty good. But yeah, like pay $100 for a mic, see how it goes.
And I'll say right now that if you have a Wave 1 or 3, it doesn't matter. Wave 3 doesn't really get you a lot. It just gives you more controls on the knob.
Yep.
It's not 3 times better. It's the exact same mic.
Yep.
You get a Wave 1 and just like the 15-button Stream Deck.
Yeah.
You have as much or more as someone like me who spent $600 on a Go XLR. The only difference is your mic's going to be slightly different. You're going to use a USB mic because that's what the Wave 1 is.
Yep.
Instead of an XLR. And 90% of the people that just heard that have no idea what I said, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. Great advice. Great advice.
I restate a former broadcaster, so for me, it's a nerdy thing. It's like I own an X, right? It's like that's a thing for me. It has nothing to do with I did this to improve the quality of my stream. I did it because I like the gear.
Yeah.
And if that's you, spend all your money. It's your hobby. Go for it.
Yeah. Totally. Like I would like to stress that. Like if you're okay spending that money, go for it. Like if that's the money you want, but know that it's not required to do this. It's really
and it will ultimately look. Twitch is going to squash all your crap, right? It's going to squash your audio. It's going to squash your video.
Yeah.
It's going to downgrade everything. You can build $1 million studio and you're going to sound just like the kid up the street with the $99 Snowball. And you're going to look just like the guy with the The Logitech $99.
Yeah,
Most
totally.
of the time for most people, especially if they're on mobile.
Oh my God, you're so right.
It just broke everyone's soul, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I know because people comment on my mic or people comment on my headset, and I'm like, look, I've been on Twitch streaming for 5 years, and a lot of the money that went into this was some of the money that came from my subs and bits and all that stuff. Exactly. And I am a hobbyist, and I'm willing to pay the money. I know I don't need all this, but a lot of people get stuck in that trap where they're like, oh man, gotta have that super cool mic or that super cool headset or camera. You don't.
No, not at all. In fact, it's funny, people ask me about them all the time. The headset I'm wearing, I have worn this make and model of headset since the 80s when I worked in radios. These are studio headsets. There's no mic, there's nothing. They're just AKG 240s.
Yeah.
And they're like $50.
There you go.
You don't need anything fancy.
Yeah.
And if pro gear matters to you, professional DJs across the country use them every single day. So there you go.
There it is.
AKG, send me money.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad.
Yes. Not officially. Since you've spent so much time on Twitch, Rick, if you could, and especially given your job, if you had the opportunity to collaborate with any creator on Twitch, who would it be?
Wow, if I could collaborate with anyone, it would have to be someone that's a far better builder than me that can really seriously mock, because I would want it to be a learning experience for me. I'm also going to try and do this in a time zone where it could maybe actually happen. You know what? Asgardian Studio does something I can't do. I am totally incompetent at using digital tools.
Yeah.
He's like freaking Gandalf with Stud.io. I would love to hang out with him and have him do just like an educational stream about how to do it. And I would gladly be his student and complete idiot for him to learn to do that. In terms of an in-person real build with bricks, I actually have really amazing builders that post stuff in my Discord all the time in my community. I would work with some of them. If you need a name, I mean, I think everybody would want to mock with Nick, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think I think he's kind of within the community, one of the top gold level kind of.
Oh yeah.
If you told me I could go hang out with Nick and mock with him for a day, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that's like a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Which, that's a great that's a great choice, honestly.
I mean, and that's no disrespect to anybody else. I could give you 50 names, but that's just the one. Right,
no, that's
also because I watch his streams and I look at all the bricks he has around him as like,
oh my God,
just come play in your room for a little while.
Yeah. Can I just hang out for a bit? Like, can
exactly.
I play with all those bricks, man?
Yep.
That's a great choice, actually. I really love that. We've been chatting for a bit now, and I guess, one thing that would be, a lot of guests have all these thoughts about what I might ask, and I know that you've been open to whatever I was going to ask today. So now that we've been chatting for a bit, was there anything at this point in time that you thought might come up that I didn't get to or bring up?
No, I don't think so. I think you touched pretty much all the topics that I was expecting. I honestly, even listening to some of the past podcasts you did, I didn't really expect anything. I respect that, most of the shows that I've heard or watched, it's always just a conversation that, and it's the way, when I do my podcast, we were talking earlier, it's the way I like to do mine, where you kind of let the conversation go where it goes.
Yeah.
Which I think is 100% better than a purely scripted
Oh,
interview style podcast. Because then I
definitely.
feel like you're not getting like the good information,
Right.
right? Because you wouldn't ask that specific question that, and you wouldn't be looking for that sort of tangent answer. Whereas a format like this, I think it's just, especially for something that's a creative endeavor like this,
Mhm.
it's just such a better format to just kind of flow and vibe with whatever's going on.
I appreciate that. That's definitely, the intent.
I like it. So yeah, I can't think of anything. I'm trying to think of any of my soapbox issues I missed. Nope,
We hit
didn't
some
miss
good
that.
ones.
You were very generous and letting me
Hey,
climb up there for a few things.
this is
But
this is your time. This is what this is for. You have a podcast,
Mhm.
which you just mentioned. I think we've talked a bit about it, but uh, tell me more about your podcast. Mostly because I'll probably be participating in it very soon.
yeah, I think we're going to get you on probably in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually I have a podcast. It's been kind of an off and on. We have a sad and tragic pandemic story where my co-host Katie and I decided that with the pandemic we have no more scheduling conflicts. We're going to do a podcast every flipping day. We did one. We did how to work from home and then nothing for 2 years.
Yeah.
So we have revived it. It is called Friday Push to Prod. And as a game developer, I'm sure you understand the fear and terror inherent in that name.
Oh, yeah.
It refers to an unfortunate habit at some software developers that at 5 o'clock on Friday, you push whatever you have been working on live to production and go home.
God.
And then it all blows up 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
So it's a podcast about all things game industry. I've been in the games industry over 20 years. My co-host Katie is coming up rapidly on her 20th. So we've got an awful lot of experience to share. We have some amazing guests, both from AAA studios and indie studios. And we have a very similar style to you. We bring them in, we have a topic and we just go and we see where that conversation goes. We were super fortunate. I have to do a little editing to cut some things down for time. Just recently, last Thursday, we got to talk to the former community and marketing manager for Elden Ring.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
So
that's
really
cool.
getting some of his stories about, because he's an indie dev now, what's the difference between working for the ultimate game really of the last 18, 20 months, right?
Yeah.
And now you're an indie studio where, the conversation's very different. So a lot of our podcasts just kind of have that open conversation with people in the industry. We've had devs, we've had writers, Amor, you may be familiar with a game, and maybe some of your listeners are, called That Dragon Cancer.
Yep.
Very deep, very emotional game. We were super fortunate recently to have Amy Noel Green, who was the lead writer on that game, come and share her experiences. If you don't know the game, it's about losing her son to cancer. So it was very deep personal experience, and she was just amazing as a guest. So
yeah.
We have people you'll know, people you don't know, people like Amor, who I can't wait to have you on.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to talk games and the industry and development.
It's such a left turn from brick building. It really is.
It really is. And this is hugely a big opportunity in that I don't do too many interviews within the space. Not because I don't want to. It's just, I'm a indie dev who just does, does their thing. But I can't wait. It's always fun having those conversations. It's fun talking shop. So I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it because I think because a number of people in my community actually listen, I think it'll be really interesting that they'll get to find out about you and what you actually do outside of being a brick builder.
Yeah.
And a podcast host, more than a brick builder currently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting for everyone listening, and for us who will be in it. It will be, I think, it'll be very enlightening. I believe.
I hope so. I think it will be as well.
in addition to the podcasts, what is in the future for the Sapience channel?
Oh, what is in the future? Do I need to break out a crystal ball?
I mean, what you got going?
So like I said earlier, I'm not that guy. I'm not like, I don't have, my social calendar spread out. Look, my channel is fully aware that some nights I come on, I have just grabbed whatever I reached into the closet and pulled out.
Yeah.
That's the content for the day. But I'm probably, we just finished up building the boutique hotel. And I really enjoy large, multi-night builds like that, because I feel like, I don't have to think as much about what am I doing for the next stream. I already know what the next 4 streams are going to be, and it makes, the scheduling easy. But I think it goes back to that. I really enjoy the conversation. So we all know what we're building. We all know what we're talking about. So there's weirdly less Lego conversation during long builds for me, and more just general, how are you? And let's talk about your day, and let's talk about, whatever's on your mind, which I really enjoy the most. Until we get to minifigs, because I'm hopelessly obsessed with all things minifigs. Your listeners won't be able to hear it, but anybody watching the stream right now, most of the drawers behind me are minifig parts.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Yeah. I've seen you build minifigs like on your stream. We did one as a milestone for St. Jude's recently, when we raised our first $100. We collaborated on a queen who is from the future, kind of a plague bearer, evil enchantress. I love it.
With an evil teddy bear.
Is that what they're holding? That's great.
Yeah. So they have their little staff, but they have a little evil teddy bear. It's missing an eye. It's just got stitches where one of its eyes belong, and it's got its mouth is stitched shut. So
that's really good. It's really great.
Yeah, it was fun listening to what people thought. It's like, wait, no, don't use that one. No, we like the other. We like the other body better. Use that body. So it was fun.
Well, Rick, you've been through this interview. You've been on this show. We had a great discussion. I often ask my guests, and I know you may not know who was on the show entirely, but if there was anyone else you'd like to see in the future on an episode of Crossing the Streams, who would you like to see go through this next?
Oh, who would I like how you phrase it. Who would you like to see go through this next? Like some sort of torture.
I know, right? Because not at all, but yeah.
No, this has been a blast. I've enjoyed this. Who would I like to see next? Who would I really like to hear some dirt on?
There you go.
You've hit quite a few of them, actually.
Have
you had? You know who would be great? And maybe you've spoken to him. I think I would love to hear. And I don't know if they do it together, but I think it would be great if they would. I would really like to hear a good solid hour with Flynn and Richard.
Oh man,
Tricky Bricks.
Yeah, that would be a great one. And actually, I've been meaning to ask. So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. There's so many questions. I mean, they're both really open in their own discussions of what it was like being on Lego Masters and what they enjoy and some of the great opportunities that have come up. I just think having that all condensed down into a conversation where everybody could hear it in one place would be fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. They're on the list of two requests.
There you go. Yeah,
that's a good one.
They would be great. And they're entertaining anyways, so just in and of themselves, and their stories are fantastic. Yeah,
no, I love the stories, the talking back and forth, but overall, great suggestion.
Thanks. Yeah, let me know.
Yeah,
let me know.
May happen in a future episode. Where can people find you, Rick?
I often joke I'm the easiest human being to find on the internet. You can find me pretty much anywhere. The only way I make it difficult is none of my socials match.
I noticed that.
Like I said, don't do what I do. Do what I tell you should do.
I saw that.
So that's a function of 20 years in the games industry. As social networks came along,
Yeah.
I just jumped into them at various times because I had to.
Yeah.
So none of them line up. I have a really fun Lego Instagram that I'll plug. It came out of a vacation trip where my wife and I decided we loathe selfies. So we took minifigs with us instead, and they went on the vacation. It's called the Lil Adventure on Instagram. I have a link tree. If you go to @RickSide, SIDE, like there's a light side, there's a dark side, and then there's the Rick side.
Yeah.
I'm not half as clever as I think I am. There's a link tree in there that links to all my stuff. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter @RickHeaton. That's probably the easiest one. If you want to see some of the work that I've actually done, you can go to yellowpikemedia.com. And we have a full reel up there. Anything you see in there that's influencer based, social community based. I think there's even a studio build I did in that reel.
Awesome.
That's all stuff I worked on. Yep.
That's
and of
great.
course, @Sapience here on Twitch.
Yep. Sapience here on twitch.tv. Do you have any parting words for those that are listening?
Do I have parting words? Be safe and be smart, I think. If I'm trying to sound wise, be safe and be smart. And by be smart, I specifically mean if you're on the fence of content creation and do you want to do this, be really smart about it and be really safe. There are a lot of people out there, especially for the women in this community, that they make assumptions the moment they see someone who they consider to be even remotely attractive. And the same is true the other way. Be safe and be smart, protect yourselves, be what you want to be, do what you want to do, but be aware that the internet can be a pretty dark place. And that applies to everybody. And when I say be smart, I also mean don't do the thing that you think will get you famous. Do the thing that you have a passion for, that you really want to do. And don't do anything just because you saw someone else do it and it looked easy. I promise you, what More and More does on this podcast, what any of us do on our streams, it's not easy. We all make it look damn good. Tried to get that out without the laugh. It's not easy. It does take time. It does take dedication. Despite what I've said, it does actually take some planning and effort to be really good at it. And be smart. Don't think you're going to be Jang in a month. Don't think you're going to be Ninja in 3 years, because 90% probability you won't be. You might, and I hope you do, but be really smart and be very self-aware if you go down the creator path. There are a lot of pitfalls, and ego is definitely one of them.